Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Faster my good evening, it's 5:30. This is Update for Wednesday, 6th of December 2023 from Manx Radio. 30 minutes looking at the latest news from the Isle of Man. Background to that news, we've got sport and business and sea watch and travel updates and the newsmakers in person. Tonight's Manxman sailing's been cancelled. The Chief Minister fears we may lose the Bishop if he can't vote. A dentist comes out against water fluoridation. The TV licence fee could be going up 9%. The former medical director talks about a whistleblowing and a memorable month for racer Michael Evans.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
First of all, at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock, the Update News headlines. First to my Christian Jones.
Fast to my. The number of 999 calls made in a single month has dipped below 2,000 for the first time since February. November's figures from the Emergency Services Joint Control Room have been released, showing 1,949 emergency calls were made, with an average answer time of 1.6 seconds. The island's former medical director has been speaking about the impact her employment tribunal has had on her life, saying at no point did it feel like a success. Dr. Rosalind Ranson won her claim of unfair dismissal against the health department and was awarded a record-breaking payout of £3.2 million. And Manx professional golfer Tom Gandy believes he's got more to give at the top level of the sport as he reflects on his latest season. In another busy last few months, Gandy's schedule has seen him take part in events across the Challenge Tour, Clutch Pro Tour and Tartan Pro Tour in 2023. In international news, Boris Johnson's defended the timing of the first lockdown, telling the COVID inquiry he didn't have the luxury of waiting. The former UK PM admitted his government underestimated the virus in the early days, but said he thought it was unlikely that a lockdown could have been avoided by using another measure earlier. There are no plans to introduce a so-called Hillsborough law following a report into the 1989 stadium crush. The UK government's responded 6 years after conclusions were initially published and decided new legislation isn't necessary, and 17 more schools and colleges in England have been identified as having unsafe concrete. It takes the total number identified with RAC to 231. Those are the Update News headlines. Next at 6.
Secure tomorrow today with Man Benham's guidance on powers of attorney and more. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Goromaya, thank you, Christian, from the Ronaldsway Met Office. There is a gale warning out in the North Irish Sea. Currently strong winds, but later a gale warning. Sea state is moderate. Later it'll be rough. And the weather for the Isle of Man, intermittent rain coming in on a fresh to strong southeasterly, becoming near gale force later. Drizzly through the night, overnight minimum 6 Celsius. And for Jordan, Thursday patchy rain turning heavy around lunchtime, then clearing late afternoon on a strong to gale force southeasterly, which will ease as the evening goes on. We're up to 11 degrees daytime, drying up and calming down through the night, down to 8 Celsius. Into Jehenya, sunny intervals and scattered showers on Friday on a strong southwesterly. Top temperature is 11 Celsius. High water in about 25 minutes or so at a minute before 6. Low waters at 13 minutes to 1 a.m. High water 10 past 7 tomorrow morning. The sun rises at 22 minutes past 8.
Manx Glass and Glazing are proud to be an approved contractor with Construction Isle of Man. Call the team on 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
The Chief Minister, Alfred Cannon, fears the Isle of Man may lose its bishop if they don't have a vote in Tynwald. 14 members voted to allow the proposal to move to the next stage, with 9 against. The story from John Moss.
Laurie Hooper's private members' bill has some way to go as yet, and that includes passage through Ledgeco, the chamber where, of course, the bishop traditionally sits. In Keys, Chief Minister Alfred Cannon made strong reference to the possibility that removing the vote might lead to the removal of the diocese from the Isle of Man, and he drew on the Channel Islands as an example after reading a letter from the Archbishop of York to a select committee on the island that was looking into the bishop's vote.
He said, "It must be said that the Lord Bishop's vote on the Legislative Council is a matter of great importance to the Church of England. It mirrors the position of the diocesan bishops in England who sit in the House of Lords. The Lord Bishop has been part of the legislative processes on the Isle of Man since the beginnings of democratic government, and the Lord Bishop's position reflects the nature of the spiritual traditions of the Isle of Man. A voice on the Legislative Council without a vote would seem to me to be a very weak position. It would be akin to the position of the deans in the Channel Islands, who are allowed to speak but not to vote in the Parliament. You may be aware that the Channel Islands do not form a separate diocese and have no diocesan bishop. Instead, they are incorporated into an English diocese."
A dentist on the Isle of Man has explained why he believes government should not fluoridate the island's water supply. Public Health Isle of Man has been tasked with compiling a research paper into fluoridation as a method of reducing levels of tooth decay in children. Dr. Ian Rigby told an audience in Douglas last night other methods should be explored.
I personally don't believe there's any benefit at all. In fact, the actual research shows that there are more negative effects on developing children by introducing fluoride into the diet, particularly in levels of IQ, and that can be shown with peer-reviewed research papers that are widely available, and that's more dangerous probably than having a few fillings that can be sorted out, but would not be there if the correct environment was given to those people. As far as I'm concerned, they may be able to put reports to the ministers that shows fluoride is fantastic, but we are then also talking about why mass medicate the rest of us and everything else that's living on the island where we use water, our domestic animals, our animals that we eat and that we get milk from. Why should they also be mass medicated with no nutritional benefit to them? I think that we'd have to try and continue to carry on the fight as we are now, because I certainly don't want fluoride in the water. You don't want fluoride in your water, and we as a community do not want fluoride in our water. And the last fight took 5 years. The first fight in 1978, I believe, was over in 6 months. This one might last longer. But I know that there are a group of people that are motivated and do not want to be mass medicated and polluted with a known environmental toxin that are prepared to go further.
The Isle of Man in 30 minutes. Update on Manx Radio with Andy Wint.
Fast am I, 22 minutes now before 6. It's been a memorable month for Manx motorcycle racer Michael Evans, who secured a top 10 finish during his debut at the Macau Grand Prix last month. The Santon man's spoken to Manx Radio about that experience and his growing ambitions into 2024.
Yeah, I mean, the result itself was a surprise to me. I mean, I didn't really go there with any specific goal. If anybody knows the track, it's quite a dangerous track. You know, there's not really many reference points and stuff. So it was mainly stay safe and improve each session and kind of just enjoy the whole experience. You know, it's something that you might only do once in your life. So it was more just kind of take everything in and experience it and enjoy it, and don't have any sort of pressure on myself to do anything mad or above what I need to really do. Looking back on it as a whole, year, there's no way I can be disappointed at all. Every event I've gone to, I think I've overachieved or kind of done better than what I thought I would. And I mean, this year I'm running my own bike, so it's kind of my own. Well, it is my own team. I do have sponsors helping out. When I think about it, to have my own machinery, my own bike, and help from like a few individuals and people, which I really appreciate. But to have that and race against the best in the world with some of the best machinery in the world, we still got a way to go to get anywhere really near to them. But it's an improvement, so there's no way I can be disappointed at all. It's not far off next year already, which is a bit weird. But yeah, it's a lot of the same stuff again. I mean, it'd be nice to get out to Spain, hopefully, start of the year, just because everybody else is doing it. You kind of have to go with what people are doing, as you get left behind. And when there's people doing it a lot more than what you are, or have a bit more infrastructure around them, you have to do as much as you can. So possibly Spain, and then if I can get any BSBs done before the TT, Northwest again, TT, then try and maybe push on a bit more after TT as well, trying some more BSBs and stuff like that, so I'm not kind of having my whole year squashed into March to June and then not doing anything after TT. But yeah, see what happens and keep on going.
There have been reports this week of a planned 9% rise in the price of a TV licence fee in April next year. This comes out of the Isle of Man government committed to extending the provision of free TV licence for residents aged 75 and over for another year, to the end of 2024 to be exact. The Treasury Minister Alex Allenson MHK admits extending the scheme by another year is a short short-term fix.
The Tynwald debate was very much that this would be a holding measure whilst the long-term funding of the BBC was worked out by the British government, and we had a better idea of the long-term future of the licence fee. We've extended this year on year, and now we actually need to sit down and have a detailed discussion, and I'd like to bring that to Tynwald next year. At the moment, it's given to everyone over the age of 75, whatever their income. In the UK, it's just for those people on low incomes who are claiming income support. So we need to say, look, what's the fairest, the most effective way of using the taxpayers' money long term? But at the same time, we obviously know that the BBC themselves are coming under pressure. They've been making cutbacks, and perhaps their future revenue is threatened as well by various statements made this week by the UK government. Now, we're not party to that, but also we need to make sure that people who are paying the licence fee on the Isle of Man get a good service. Now, at the moment, the scheme that we have also looks at slightly younger people who are retired, but also on income support. So it is trying to deal with those people who might really struggle with the TV licence fee. That's been frozen for 2 years, so this stepwise increase, and it's a proposal at the moment. We're not quite sure what the reality is going to be next year, but certainly from a Treasury perspective, we're keeping a close eye on that. But we've also got to bear in mind that we're currently spending around about £800,000 supporting the free TV licence fee for the over 75s. Going forward, is that the best use of taxpayers' money, or should we target that more? And I think we need to have that discussion, that debate in Tynwald.
Sea Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Motor vessel Manxman left Heysham at 28 minutes before 2 this afternoon. She arrived half an hour ago or so into Douglas, is safely on the link span and won't be going out tonight. The 7:45 Manxman to Heysham has been cancelled because of the forecast gale force winds. So no 02:15 back from Heysham tomorrow morning. And tomorrow morning's 8:45 is subject to possible disruption or cancellation. The decision will be made tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. And listen to Manx Radio. As soon as we know it, you'll know it.
Like the Steam Packet on Facebook for the latest sailing information.
The number of 999 calls made in a single month has dipped below 2,000 for the first time since February. November's figures from the Emergency Services Joint Control Room have been released, showing 1,949 emergency calls were made with an average answer time of 1.6 seconds. The story from Rob Pritchard.
Since the ESJCR started publishing the statistics towards the beginning of this year, the months with the highest number of calls have been, perhaps not so surprisingly, during the TT period in May and June. Those 2 months alone racked up almost 7,000 emergency calls. 1,188 police events were recorded in November, while ambulance and fire events sit at 1,099 and 125 respectively. The total number of non-999 calls remained fairly consistent when comparing to other months at 17,154. And radio transmissions, which are essentially the times that an emergency service worker uses their on-person or in-vehicle radio system to speak to the control room, were down on October's figures at 115,729.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 17 minutes before 6, in corporate news, the Scottish multinational engineering company Weir Group plc gained after saying it's now targeted £60 million in absolute savings by 2026 as part of its goal to reach an operating margin of 20% by that year. Weir also confirmed market conditions and its 2023 guidance remained unchanged, and the company is on track to deliver an operating margin of 17%. And for a full daily market report, go to ramseycrookall.com. The trailer for the 6th game in the Grand Theft Auto series has been published by Rockstar Games after it was leaked online. The 90-second teaser's already racked up over 60 million views on YouTube, confirms that the game will be set in Miami-inspired Vice City, and features a female protagonist for the first time since the 1990s. But GTA fans will have to wait a while before they get their hands on the new game, as it's not going to be released for a year. Rockstar Games founder Will Morris said if GTA 5 was anything to go by, this 6 is going to be the best-selling game when it's released. Unfortunately, we have to wait until 2025 for the release, but it's good to get a teaser. It is worth billions of pounds.
The Stock Market Report, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
UK and European markets closed higher, rebounding from a mixed trade session earlier in the week. US stocks were little changed economies. Oil fell and gold firmed as Treasury yields eased. The numbers from Ramsey Crookall at the close in London. The FTSE 100 is up 0.33% at 7,515. The DAX in Frankfurt up almost 0.9% at 16,679 at the close. A short time ago in New York City, the Dow Jones Industrial up 0.1% at 36,161. The Nasdaq Tech Stocks Index up almost 0.1% at 14,238. The S&P 500 in Chicago is up almost 0.1% at 4,569. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling trading at $1 25.8 cents, €1 16.6 cents, and 23 South African rand 77.8 cents. In commodities, gold's up 0.4% at $2,027 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude down 3.25%, $74.47.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future. For a house, or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Over £500,000 has been spent by the Isle of Man Post Office as part of its mutually agreed resignation scheme over the past 5 years. The figure was revealed in the House of Keys this week by Chair of the Post Office, Stu Peters, MHK.
The Isle of Man Post Office produces an annual financial plan approved by the board. This includes provisions for planned employment changes based on forecast customer demand and operational changes. Significant changes in the forecast or new requirements are included in quarterly reforecasts approved by the board. For Mars, employees can submit a request at any time. When there's a considered mutual benefit for the business to support the request, a business case is submitted to the Mars Committee for review and approval. A record of submissions to the committee is maintained. I think the thing to remember is that this is a voluntary scheme and it is usually brought about by the employee. As a responsible statutory board required to make a profit taking 1 year with another, Isle of Man Post regularly reviews and revises its supply in line with changing customer demand and improvement opportunities. In mature postal markets like ours, notwithstanding volatility, parcel volumes are projected to grow at around 1% per annum. This will not offset the decline in letter volumes that are reducing at between 7 and 9% a year. The Mails team complete all island duty revisions to rebalance delivery duties in line with changing demand. Applications from employees for Mars are more likely to be considered when a surplus in capacity arises because of a duty revision that cannot be offset by reducing temporary workers, not filling vacancies or general turnover alone. In the last 6 months, a full duty revision was completed.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio Sport.
Faster My sports editor Rob Pritchard.
Faster My, good evening. Starting with motorsport, and tributes are being paid to May Dunlop, the mother of TT winners Joey and Robert Dunlop, who has died this week at the age of 91. On social media, Coleraine District Motorcycle Club, the organisers of the Northwest 200, have extended their deepest sympathies to the Dunlop family. The Armoy Motorcycle Racing Club, hosts of the Armoy Road Races, are also among those who have expressed their sincerest condolences at this sad time. In hockey, Manx star Sienna Dunn and the England under-21 squad are through to the semi-finals of the 2023 Junior World Cup in Chile. They've beaten Germany 1-0 in the quarter-finals this afternoon, courtesy of a short corner strike from Scarlett Spavin in the third quarter. They'll find out their opponents for the semi-finals later on. In martial arts, one of the Isle of Man's jiu-jitsu competitors is set to compete among the world's best in the sport over the coming days. Hayley Curtis of Gracie Barrett is taking part in the IBJJF World No-Gi Championship in Las Vegas from tomorrow until Saturday. Recently, Curtis took 2 bronze medals during the IBJJF European Championship in Rome in October. In tennis, the Isle of Man's men's tennis squad put in some positive displays during this year's Winter County Cup event in Aldershot. In the singles matches on day 1, Ori Farnworth grabbed the only victory of the day for the Island squad over Wiltshire. Later, the Manx side faced Cornwall, with the latter taking a 4-2 lead. Farnworth was in winning form again during the round, while Sean Drury beat Cornwall number 1, Jake Horton. In the doubles matches, the Isle of Man lost 2 out of 3 against Wiltshire. The only win came courtesy of Drury and Farnworth. A victory again for that pairing later on wasn't enough to stop top Cornwall, who'd also take overall victory over the Islands 6-3. And finally, in football, 2 more fixtures await in the Isle of Man Under-18s League at the Bowl this evening. Russian United face winless Laxey A, whilst Braddon will have the chance to go back to the top of the table when they take on Union Mills.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Inbound at Ronaldsway, the 5:25 Loganair from Manchester came in at 20-6. The 7:30 EasyJet from Gatwick showing on time. The 5-8 Loganair from Liverpool, the returning patient transfer showing on time. And the 8 o'clock Loganair from London City is currently showing on time. The 6 o'clock Loganair outbound to Liverpool is on time, and then it's the 8 o'clock EasyJet back to London Gatwick, so fingers crossed for the weather. On the roads, Keandrockett Road in Andros is closed in phases to May next year for water main work. Temporary lights on Andros Road in St Jude's to the north of St Jude's for patching work. Temporary lights on the Dolby Road between Erie Cushlin and the Round Table for drainage work. The Aracy Road closed between Glen May to the shoulder for resurfacing. And temporary lights on the Dolby Road for ducting work between Dolby and Glen May. South of Kirkmichael, temporary closures on the Ballalai Road till March of next year for water main work. The Ballacorrie Road in Reggaby is closed for tree trimming. In Colby, still got those lights on the main road at the junction with Ballakilferrick Road for water main work. The Clanner Road in Sulby is closed for resurfacing. In Douglas, Hillside Avenue closed through to Circular Road for adjacent office window replacement. Temporary lights on Groves Road in Douglas at the Springfield Avenue junction. They're lining a sewer there. The section of Switzerland Road's closed for construction work till November next year. And in Braddon, temporary lights on the Braddon Road between the hospital and Strang Road for work on the pavements.
Quayside Tyres and Service Centre with 1 year's free engine warranty from Castrol. Get more with
Quayside. Faster Mai, thanks for dropping by. This is Update Live from Douglas in the Isle of Man on Manx Radio, available also as a podcast. The Isle of Man's former medical director has been discussing her time in the role and events that led to her unfair dismissal for whistleblowing. Dr. Rosalind Ranson has given her first media interview since winning her employment tribunal and being awarded a record £3.2 million. She's been speaking to Michael Buchanan for BBC Radio 4's File on 4.
She was trying to break me, maybe trying to get me to lose my temper, maybe trying to just make me not be able to cope. It was setting me up to look as if I was failing.
In December 2020, the Isle of Man government got access to the global supply of vaccines, but the judges heard the medical director was sidelined by Catherine Magson. A problem arose, however.
She decided that she was going to lead the rollout of the vaccine. I was given instructions that I was not to be a part of that team. And then she realised that actually the legal process required me to literally sign a document. So suddenly she demanded that I sign the document. There were many things that were not in place to safely give this vaccine. So I just refused. And she was furious because she'd told the minister we're going to be ready to go, everybody's going to start receiving the vaccine. I felt relieved that they had found in my favour, but I was out of a job. It was the end of my career. It's been the most traumatic thing I've been through. At no point has it felt like a success. And it's been very difficult to get back my life.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates.
A youth club in Onchan, which has desperately needed refurbishment completed, is hoping to help reduce antisocial behaviour around Onchan. Kenyon's Cafe gives 11 to 18-year-olds a safe place to socialise and access to advice and support if needed. Here's Cafe director Martin McFarlane.
One of our main aims is to act as a positive distraction from antisocial behaviour. So we want to try and get as many young people into the vicinity as we can. So it's about giving enough space for all those different friendship groups to be able to do their own thing or interact with each other, whatever they want to do. It's about making them as comfortable as possible so they choose to come to here. It makes a huge difference if you've got a project in your area that young people can connect with. It's usually a small number, a minority within the community, but for them to have engagement in a project is key to being able to start the process of working with them to understand why and what underlying issues there may be. So whilst we may see that there's just antisocial behaviour, there could be other factors involved in that young person's life that we need to help them with. For them, it's a real uplift, particularly like the atmosphere has changed. We've got more modern furniture now compared to what we had, so the young people are really pleased. It was a group of school year 10s and 11s that really helped drive these changes. They're the ones who helped us pick out what furniture we needed, what the layout should be. So for them, it's a great piece of ownership of this project.
That's it for Update tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader Christian Jones, producer Amy Griffiths. After the news at 6 o'clock, Howie Kane's here. It's Wednesday, so it's Spotlight, our arts programme. Chris Kinley with the greatest hits at 6:30. Ernie Thorne with the Opera Hour at 9, and Rhiann Evans with After Hours. The Late Show at 10. I'm back tomorrow at 5:30.
WINT